So using the handout, you go ahead and design your edge-to-edge pantograph. You tap on sew-in zones. You make your changes that you need in settings up there at the top, and then you go into Zone Manager. And then very, very, very important is you must place your zone for quilting. So don't miss that step. So place that, and then you're going to tap on plugins, and then you're going to select Pattern Eclipse. And at this point, we need to mark the points. We're going to pretend that these are appliques. So I'm just using rectangles there. If you are a person who's sewing mask and you have some fleece scraps, then that's what these are for. These are 5 inches long, and you sew buttons on each end, and they save people's ears. So I'll just put that little pitch in there. So that's what these are. But we're pretending these are appliques. If you were going to, say if you had a circle applique, you would need to add a lot of points to get it smooth. But we're going for speed here. So I'm gonna move my needle. Oh, and I wanted to show you the needle jog. So right now, that needle is just barely above the fabric. This is a feature on the Unique 21 Pro. It's really nice. Some machines out there have the red laser beam, but this you can just tap on needle jog, and your needle is right above the fabric, so you know exactly where the needle's going to go in. So, since this isn't really stitched down, it's just laying there. I'm not going to get close. But so anyway, as I move my needle around, I'm going to tap on Add. Okay, so I'm tapping on Add there. And I'm going to go down, and I'm going to just hurriedly do this. So it's going to be sloppy. But I'm going to say Add, okay. And I'm going to move it to here and say Add, and move it to here and say Add. And now what is nice is I don't have to connect back to that original spot, because I might not do a really good job. but QCT connects it very accurate. If I needed to redo one, then I could, that redid the whole thing. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so we say, I should have hit that remove. So I'm just hitting the add there, add. Then if I wanted to, if I thought, I didn't do a good job, then I could tap on that remove, and it removes it, add, and now it connects back. Well, now I want to do this. So I'm just going to say new region, okay? So I'm there, and I say add, and add, and add, and add. Now we've got that one, and now I'm to a new region. I tap new region, and add, and add, and add, and add, and just like that, I have it ready to stitch around. So now I have two choices. Oh, and if I wanted to redo one or something, I can use these. I don't know if you can see the yellow. It highlights it in yellow. But I can use these big blue arrows to go from one region to the next. And if I were to tap on all of those with the X's, that would delete all of them. Or with this, whatever is selected, I tap on that, it would delete that one. Okay, so now I have two choices here with Sew Continuous, and what that would do is it would stitch my pantograph, but I mean it would avoid that area, but it would just kind of gently stitch around it. Or if I tap on this one, then it's going to actually stitch based on how good a job I did with doing my needle around it. But it's going to stitch a line around that applique. So that's kind of cool. And then you can tap on Preview. See how it will look. So now you see, and that's with it stitching a line, okay? So we'll X out of that. And just like that, we say OK. And we are ready to pull bobbin and sew. So this is a super fast, super easy, super nice way to stitch around appliques that you absolutely do not have to be a brainchild rocket scientist to figure out. So you can see how it's going to stitch. So any questions on the Eclipse feature? That was really hard, wasn't it?
Wore me out.
So, and obviously, as soon as you do, like if you had another row, then you would need to go back in, back into plugins, back into there, and now you can see, like if I tap on that one's gone. If I tap on this, they're both gone. So now those are gone, and you're able to go back and at this point, you would need to, we're just going to move the machine here. You would need to reset your next zone, and then they all go away, and then you would go back into plugins and repeat the same procedure for your next row of appliques. So, too easy, too easy. Is any questions?
No questions have come up.
Okay, so, so for borders and corners, I'm going to go here and...
You have to go a little slower so I can make sure I get the camera on it.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So I'm not sure. You have to see what you click on, too.
Oh, let me go back. Okay, so I went back to the home screen, and I tapped on Gold Features, and then Borders and Corners. And this it's very, very, very easy to use because I did it the first time, and I was fresh from beginnings. So if I can do that, that means anybody can. So you have these border styles of how you want to do your corner. So you have that. And really, you're just working your way down. You're working your way down these selections. And what you're doing is, let me get this out of the way here. You are literally moving your needle. We good?
Yeah.
You're moving your needle. There's no set spot down the edge other than you want to clear where your border design would stitch. So probably your border design's not about to stitch down there, and you're just tapping on things to move your way around. I'm not even going to try and do it. There's the tutorials out there. But what you do is you use this, and you literally move your needle around, and then you create that so that QCT knows exactly where your border is, and then when you pull in your, I bet I can't do it without it. I bet it's not going to do without me really setting it. It can't, so we won't even try. But what's so great is once you move your needle to set that up based on your quilt, then when you open and select your borders and corners, it actually fills that entire thing for you so that it stitches it all at once. And then when you get down to the bottom, then the same thing. Here's where you set the margins at. But like I said, you're tapping through it, and there's the tutorials to follow out there that make it easy. And another thing you can do is when you tap on Gold Features, tap on that eye, and that talks you through it right there. So that's what I was talking about. You're able to, as you create your corners and your borders based on your quilt, then when you pull in your patterns, it literally figures all of that out for you so that all you have to do is just stitch it. So that's just a really brief look without taking all the time. But I just wanted to let you see that, so that, and then fabric comp, that's, it probably isn't selectable here. But fabric comp, you can use that with the borders and corners so that if your border isn't just perfect, exact, straight, then you're able to allow, with moving your needle down your border, so that you track exactly, let me come back in here. So with fabric comp, you're able to move your needle down these border lines, and if you see that it's kind of veering up or veering down, then you're able to use your fabric comp tool to take care of that. So that's what, when you hear fabric comp, that's a way to use it. Then real quick, let's see, another is the virtual long arm. So what that is if your machine's throat won't let you stitch that entire big duck, then you're able to quilt it in pieces, so to speak, so that you end up getting to quilt that entire great big duck, even though it was too big for your machine's throat. So that's a really neat feature there. This let's see, the advanced Panto, that gives you more design choices with just being able to use different designs on different rows, and within the same row you can turn things different directions. You can get very, very, very creative with that. And then the fonts. So all of these designs that you have in fonts that you have, you're able to use those and just type them out and stitch them. So that's another cool feature that you have with the gold. Oh, the multi-pattern placements. That's, we're not gonna, that, let me do the eye. So this tells you about if you're in Select and Sew, you can, like when I said, if you wanted to do the ditch and you wanted to do your pattern, but you would have to stitch them separate unless, as long as, if you didn't want the design to touch the ditch stitch, you'd have to do it as two separate times going into the quilt screen. Here, you're able to design it without doing that. So you can have that ditch stitch way out there, and then you can have your pattern shrunk up inside and others. So I'm only beginning to learn all about that, but that's a very nice feature. So I think we've covered all of that, and so I think we're kind of back on schedule, really. So one last thing that I want to show, and that's another reason Doug is holding the camera, is I did this on purpose. Last night when I was stitching this, I on purpose hit stop right there, and it's a little messy, but because I didn't take the time to, it was late, so I didn't take the time to pull it out nice. Ideally, I would have pulled out the stitches enough to get back into the pretty stitching, but this is a donation quilt, so I just said I'm going to bite the bullet on this one. So the stitching just ended when I hit stop. So obviously I've turned everything off and everything. So so now I would like to go back to stitching that. So what am I going to do? Because you might effectively say I lost power. So what I'm going to do is go into Pantograph, and I need to select that pattern, which I had it in my Quilts for Kids. And let's see, I guess I better get my glasses out, or I'll be pulling up something weird. So Christmas, I think that's what I named it. I'm going to open it as a Pantograph. Okay, so this is what I was stitching. And now I need to start back right there. But how am I going to do it? So I'm going to go ahead, and all of my facts and figures are still there because that was saved in the pattern. So I'm going to say sew in zones. And I'm going to say no because I actually already have it saved. You know what? I could have opened it the other way instead of doing that. I'm not used to tapping on that green choice up there. So the first thing I have to do, I can't do anything until I place my zone, and I may or may not get it just right. Like if you had a piece of tape and you took that tape off, you're going to have to just kind of wing it. So I think I had it about right there. So I'm going to place this zone. So how close do I have it? I don't know. And I do want to make a comment that I know that this was zone 1. If I was in a different zone, then I would tap on zone manager and come over and arrow down to whatever zone that I needed to. Of course, if it was any of the zones within the middle that were all look just alike, it really wouldn't even matter a whole lot. You just have to be careful when you get to the bottom. So right now, I'm moving my needle right where that stitching ended. I don't know how close I'm going to be, I don't know, but I'm going to tap on repair pattern and I'm going to say closest stitch. And the needle is up. And so I'm a little bit off there, and I knew I would be. So I'm to the right, so I'm going to nudge it. And so it's going to be just a matter of playing around with this. So I'm going to trace back one. And by me having that needle jog, the lovely Unique 21 Pro feature, I'm able to really tell that my needle is, I can't believe how close it lined up. I like to hit trace back though, because that gives me a chance to really see, is it really lining up? And it's actually not. So I need to do a little bit more nudging. That's why I do like to use this trace back and forward, because it's worth it to take your time to get it exactly where you want it. And don't lean on the rail. I have to tell myself that 1,000,000 times. Now I'm going to trace forward and see if it's over it. I'm going to hit stop. And it needs to go this way a little bit. So I'm not going to keep going for the sake of time, but that's how you would do it. And you know, it's yucky when you lose power or have a unplanned shutdown, but it's worth taking the time to use these tools to get it back right, and just keep playing around till you get it back right, and then when you do, and then when you get it to where you want to honestly resume stitches, then you're ready to pull your bobbin and sew. So that's how you would do your unplanned shutdown, but I can't say enough. Keep playing with that. Keep using your trace back, using your trace forward until you know you really have it lined up. Don't try to do a quick job of it, or you might be sorry, because you can think you have it lined up, but until you do some serious tracing back and tracing forward, you may not. So any questions on doing a unplanned shutdown and getting back to where you were?
We'll wait and see if anything pops up.
Or any other questions at this point. I've covered everything that I was planning on covering. So any questions that you want to ask, just jump in and ask right now. My whole goal is that you think, man, QCT is easy. That was my biggest goal. If that wasn't where you were, I know plenty of you are there. You think, yeah, I know QCT is easy, but for everybody who didn't think that, that was my goal, was that by the time I got through, you would think, you know, QCT really is easy to use. Oh, and another really great feature with the 21 Pro is you have a low bobbin. It's not a sensor, but it's tracking the thread that's on there. So it's a low bobbin estimator. So if y'all will all just give Marie a virtual group hug, please do.
Yes, Marie sacrificed her Saturday to be online with us to help us out.
Yes, because this is Marie's days off. This is not a work day for her. She volunteered to be online to answer questions, and Carol Butler, she's been watching for the audio video, and she's been calling us to fill us in on some things, and then Nancy has made sure that some of you who requested to join later, she got you in, and she's been just monitoring how things are going. And it's all because of Nancy that this whole thing took place, because she was the one that had set up the training in Alabama. So big thanks to Nancy and to Carol, and huge thanks to Marie for answering all the questions I could.
And thank you, Marie's are showing up on the screen right now. Oh, like they even thanked us too. I'll be darned.
Aw. The only thing that comes to mind is, would you like for me to quickly go back over Power Panto again, since it was so messed up? So if you would like to see Power Panto redone, like not necessarily the quilting part of it, but just to see the setup of a Power Panto, since we had so many issues during it.
Yeah, and I was going to suggest that kind of as bonus. You know, if anybody, we'd have to. I'm assuming you want to read the video.
No, if you just wanted to do that, we could.
Right. Let's just do a quick redo of Power Panto.
Okay, so I'm gonna manually set some stuff instead of using the ruler. We could use the ruler, but I'm not going to. And then remember, not all designs play nice. Okay, not all designs play nice. I'm gonna be bad and use some of the fun ones. So this is really hard to see, so I'm going to tap on that and make it bigger. And I need to add some vertical spacing. You just about always need to add a little bit of vertical spacing. And then I had said, be careful about your horizontal, because if you do too much, you'll cause a break in them, and which causes a jump stitch later on, and you don't want any jump stitches. So once you think it looks good, then tap on the fit to take it back to normal, take it down to X. And if you're happy, you can go ahead and quilt right there. So in less than 60 seconds, you were ready to quilt a customer's quilt who said all they wanted was a simple edge to edge. Then just that fast, you're ready to go. You would want to save it here. So when you save it here, I'm not going to go through it, but you would save it here, and then if you needed to open it back up and make changes to it, that's how you would do it. You would open it up in Read Panto. That's where you open it up. And in fact, after I save it, I like to open Read Panto just to make sure it's saved and it's there. So that's something that you would do there. There's all these are vertical flip choices. I think they're all vertical, but each one is worth 2 taps, and you can just see how things look. You can play for forever with looking at these. Sometimes you get some really great ones, but then when you're done, then it'd be cool if that fits your appliques. But tap on Flip X, and then that takes you back like you were. If you don't finish and you need to come back in later, once the update comes out, that is where you will open it. It's up there where it says green, resume zone sewing session. So that's how you set it up right there. If you didn't like the pattern height that it's set for you, if you thought, no, I really want that to be 10, then you could just touch that and say 10. And then it got a lot bigger, because you might want to. And you may want to go back in there and blow it up and say, we don't need it quite so much space, or maybe we need some more spacing. You don't want to cause that gutter. You want to be careful about that. So whenever you had it like you wanted, then you just X back out of that. And that's how you would make it bigger if you thought it was looking a little small for you. So you do have some control. And then on this pattern fitting, that's kind of a visual thing of the wrapping horizontally, which that's what that one is. And then the other one is the wrapping vertically. So you can't select both. You can either have one selected or the other, or none. So so that's how that works. And you're just literally picking which one makes your eyes most happy. So at this point, you're ready to sew in zones. Which I think we've probably covered everything. And those little blue things you saw going across, when you come back into this, and usually you would say absolutely yes. You definitely want to say yes. I'm going to say no now, but you would say yes. And that's what enables you to do that resume zone sewing session. And then you would go into Zone Manager. If you were resuming at a later time and pick what zone you wanted to start with, Of course, you're going to do your settings. If you've already placed it and you tap on Zone Manager, when you come back here, you're going to have to place it again because that's what that warning message is. But right now, the zone hadn't been placed. Your diamonds are grayed out. As long as you're using center placement, you get the diamonds. So if I do this and I do that, then now it's placed. The diamonds are blue. If I wanted to do a partial row right here, then I just touch that, and that's where the lowest stitches are going to hit, right there. I touch the full diamonds, and it toggles back. So that's kind of a rushed version of Power Panto, but Power Panto is like the easiest thing. It's just you have to have the understanding that there's no staggering. Whatever Power Panto gives you, it is what it is. You can make the pattern height smaller or bigger than what it suggests, and you can give yourself vertical spacing, and be careful with the horizontal spacing, and then we saw the different things. And so just understand that there will be some patterns that won't play nice, but a whole lot do, and the ones that do make it a very, very, very fast process for you. So any questions on Power Panto?
Here's a question from Chris from Amherst. Can you show how to go around an applique with the gold eclipse?
Oh, okay.
As Jen has a nervous laugh. Okay, sure.
You know what? We'll just go from this screen right here, because you have to already have designed your pantograph and say sew in zones. And I'm going to say no for time. You must place your zone. You must. So touch that. Okay, so now it's placed. And then you go in plugins and you say Pattern Eclipse. That's what they ask, right?
How to agree with gold eclipse.
Okay. So so that was how you got to it. And then at this point, let's just say, we'll just use this right here. Let's just say, but it's going to be sloppy and ugly. If you have something like this, you'd probably want to do a whole lot of ads, but we're just going to do a few.
Get one of you pink things and do that. No?
Well, we'll just use that.
Okay.
So we're going to pretend that's an applique. So this has a needle jog. This machine has a needle jog. So I'm able to put my needle right above the fabric, so I can tell exactly where that is. And it would be your choice, you know, if you wanted to say, use your foot to not get right up against your applique, or how close. Maybe we'll just leave the edge of the foot outside, and you say add, and you'll see that little dot forms. And of course, with the circle, you'd probably want to do a lot of ads, because if you don't do very many, you're going to get a pretty ugly looking circle. And you just keep adding until you get almost all the way around. Because as you can see, QCT keeps you attached to your original spot. So you're going to have a perfectly connected line at that point. All right, so now we have a rough version there. That's and if we wanted to do this one, now we'll just do it quick. We'll just do two. And now you need to add a new region. So you tap on new region, because if you kept tapping on add, it would connect from up there. So you want a new region, okay? So now I'm able to begin the process again. So I tap, and I'm going to be really yucky on this one. So you just keep tapping and moving around. It's going to be a really bad circle, okay? So if you've got a very detailed applique, you need a little bit of patience there. Okay, so now we have these two appliques that we don't want the pantograph to stitch across. If I needed to remove the last mark, I would just touch that. If I want to toggle between however many appliques, then that's what you use these blue for. You can see it highlights in yellow. Whatever one is highlighted in yellow, if I touch that, it will delete it. If I were to touch those, all the X's, it would delete both of them. And then I have a choice of how I want this to stitch around, the pantograph to stitch around them. If I do sew continuous, it's just going to be kind of softly around it the way that the pantograph happens to hit. If I do sew eclipse border, then it's going to stitch a line around it. So we'll go back to that first one and hit preview. And I'm not able to blow it up here, but you can just see how it would do. It just lets the lines of the pantograph fall where they may. So I'm going to exit out of that. Now if I do sew eclipse border, preview, then you're able to see it's going to stitch a line around your applique, which you might want that. And then you just X out of that. And just that, if you decide, no, I think I better do something different, you could hit cancel. But you click OK. And now that's how it's going to stitch. And when you hit sew, it asks you a question about, but because it may have to do some backtracking, and it asks you if you want to let it just go automatic, or do you want to be in control and it be manual. So you will have that question. That's your personal preference. I just say automatic and let it go. But did that answer your questions? And once you do this, then it's like a one-time shot kind of thing. So now, as soon as you replace your zone, this is going to go away. And if you have in your next row, your next zone, you have more appliques that you want to stitch around, then you're going to go back into plugins and you're going to go back around them.
Paula's asking, will this work with blocks or only pantos? I guess the...
Well, you know what? Marie may answer.
Actually, she just did both.
Okay. Yeah, so if we were to do select and sew, open it up. And you know what? We're just going to... let's see. We'll do 1 point. That makes it easy. Up. Add 1 point. And we hit reset. Now it should be happy. Okay, so now we do plugins. Yep, we do plugins. Well, maybe I have to, do I have to go into quilt to get to it? That's a Marie question. I have never used it with a block, so now let's try it again. So now, there it is. So we had to get into the quilt screen, so Pattern Eclipse. So, I just want to say that, I needed to have deleted those, but I can. So I'm just going to tap on that, get rid of them all. And so let's just say that, I don't know where it really is placed. Well, that was where it was placed. So let's just say there's something in the center of this block that, good. So, and I'm just winging it here, obviously. I'm just making something up. So how pretty would that be to have something in the middle of a block that would be so pretty. We'll do the sew continuous. So we're going to say, okay. Which, it may hose up again. But how pretty would that be to do a block pattern and put an applique for it to stitch around in the middle? I may need to do this after we log off. Thanks for asking that question. That was a great question. I don't know why it's doing that. But anyway, like I said, this isn't the final update that's going to come out. Marie was nice and let me go ahead and use the update so that you could see some of the things that had been changed with the original version 5 that the Dookie people already have.
I'm just watching the barrage of thank yous come scrolling up the screen for the last few minutes. We certainly appreciate y'all taking time out of your Saturdays. I mean, I know we're all kind of locked in our houses at this point, but y'all could have other stuff you'd be doing with the family and friends after a week of work. So the fact you want to spend the day with us, we certainly appreciate your time.
And I know that there's a lot more I could cover, but there's only so much in one day, and and every chance you get for whoever is teaching or training, take it, because everybody is going to say something a different way. They may say something somebody else did, because It is so easy when you're doing this to do it and think you covered everything, and then you watch the video back and you're like, oh, I left that out. I meant to show that. I'm sure that's what I'll probably do today. I'll be like, oh, I can't believe I forgot to say that. So as you get a chance for anybody to take their classes, so we've seen where Joyce Blowers is going to be offering classes. She's got some free ones. She's got some ones you pay for. She's a true experienced teacher, so I'm sure it's worth the money. Then Marie Bard Curtis, she's created a new YouTube video called The Quilted Poodle, and she is going to be adding more videos to come. And I've challenged her to do Pattern CAD, so now everybody's hearing it. So Marie, you're going to have to step up and teach us Pattern CAD.
Marie says, don't hate the Dookie people.
That's true. But Dookie waited, and so because they waited, they got a version that had less bugs than the original version that came out with QCT. So that's good. And I know I'm leaving some more people out that make videos, and more videos to come. And you know, if you're out there thinking, I would like to make some YouTube videos, I highly encourage you to do that, please, because you might be that one person that's going to say it just right for a certain number of people that will make sense to them when somebody else didn't. Leah Day. When Leah Day gets out of her flooded basement situation, she's going to be making a whole lot more because she has software and she had already started making videos, and then her basement flooded and that messed everything up for her. So once she gets squared away, we'll see a lot more videos from her, which will be exciting because she has all the cameras and the true setup for making videos. So that will be nice. I tell this story. When I was in college, I was told this one math teacher to not take. Every single friend I had said, don't take that math teacher. Well, his class was the one I had to take, and it was at the only time I could take it, and I dreaded it so bad. And I showed up for class, and I liked him immediately, and he became my favorite math teacher ever, high school ever. This was in college, and then by the time I graduated, he was probably my very favorite professor. And so, like I said, if you're thinking, oh, there's enough people already making videos, don't think that. If you can share how to do something, then you do it, and there will be somebody very grateful because you will have your own unique way of teaching it. So when I made my first, I call it my terrible, horrible, very bad video, I had just learned how to finally eke out a pantograph with beginnings, and it was so bad. It was so bad. But do you know how long I had been using it? 4 weeks. 4 weeks I had been using it. So you can't say, oh, I haven't been using it long enough, because if you know how to do something, you're qualified to teach that. So because you just don't know what somebody's takeaway is going to be. So if there's no other questions, then I guess we will sign off for the day. And these videos will stay out there. I know some are in a little rougher shape than others, but these are going to be under the videos. All you have to do is tap on videos and see which one you're looking for.
Okay, now Kathy Solomon is telling us to go get Chick-fil-A. So that may be our next plan.
Sounds like a lovely plan.
Thanks so much for your time, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend.